So hi, my name is Jen from practicalbydefault.com, solutions for the working homeschool mom, and I am so excited that you guys have decided to join us today. So one of the things that many homeschoolers struggle with are subjects that we are not comfortable with teaching our kids, and that subject for me is math. So math is not my strong point, and I have a daughter who struggles with math. It is probably her most hated subject. So one of the things that I have learned, though, is that when there are subjects that we don't know how to teach, we can always find support or some way to help us teach them. And so one of those supports that I have recently discovered is Thinkster Math. I want to thank Raj for joining us today. He's offered to come in and answer some questions for us about the program. He's going to tell us a little bit about how it works. And he's also given me a free trial to test out with my daughter. And I've also been invited to share that with you. So you'll find that in the description link, which should be above or to the side. Look for my affiliate link that will tell you how you can join for 7 days, test it out, see if it works for you and your family. So far, we are really enjoying it, but I'll share that with you guys later. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, Raj, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jen, for the opportunity as well. Really appreciate it. I think you're doing a wonderful job. Very happy to be part of this program here. So my name is Raj Valli. I'm the founder and CEO of Thinkster. We started this company about 6 years back, and the main objective was that the world of education has gone through significant changes. And it needs to go through some more changes. Unfortunately, technology has not kept pace with all the changes that have actually, been impacting, healthcare, finance, marketing, automotive industries. Pretty much every industry segment that's out there has been completely transformed because of technology. Unfortunately, tutoring, education, the way teachers do their work and how they teach has not yet had that impact. And so that's what we're doing. We're completely transforming the way teachers teach and students learn so that we can accelerate and provide insights to teachers, and we can also accelerate learning outcomes to students. That's, in a nutshell, what we do.
Yeah, it's hard to put the whole program in a couple sentences. Right. One thing that you mentioned is, and I noticed with my daughter, just using it that briefly, is that the way that they learn, they have access to videos and worksheets, and then help is right there. So that was really cool. As a parent, I got to see all that.
Yeah.
So before I start gushing about how much we're enjoying it, first I should let you tell us a little bit about Thinkster Math. What is it? How does it work? That type of thing.
Okay. So I tend to be very long-winded because I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. So if I get long-winded, just let me know. So the core aspect of Thinkster, the way it works, is that we are student-centric. We are not teacher-centric. We are not content delivery-centric. We are student-centric, which means that when students don't understand something, it's not the fault of the student. They don't understand something because they are struggling with the way it has been presented to them. I call this the language gap. If you speak to me in German and I didn't know German, it's not my fault that I don't understand what you're telling me. So that's how we put this. So the job is communication, and the communication here is, can we teach something so that a student can understand and absorb what they're doing? So when we put the student at the center of the universe, then we figure out, okay, how much does the student know when they come and join us? So we do a very quick diagnostic test. So we quickly are able to identify areas of strengths, potential areas of weaknesses. We don't dictate that. We have some idea, and then we try to now narrow down that areas of strengths and areas of weaknesses by refining, by asking additional questions, by providing a high degree of personalized assignments and worksheets that we deliver to, for example, your daughter.
Yeah.
But more importantly, as they are working through the problems, now this is what has been a black box throughout history up until our product being in the market. What has happened is that teachers will teach either chalk and talk in a school or in a tutoring environment, and then people understand, or students understand, that they get the problem correctly, and then some sample problems. Okay, go do some homework problems and come back and tell me if you're having any challenges. That was typically the way it was done. The problem is that it's like trying to teach someone how to drive a car. When I'm in the passenger seat, I look at you driving the car, it looks really easy. All I see you doing is you're holding a steering wheel. Maybe there is an accelerator pedal. Maybe there is a brake pedal. No, it looks really easy, right? I think I can do the same thing by just pretending to be behind the steering wheel. And then that I realize that the entirety of learning kicks in, and it's not that easy. Driving a car appears simple, but it's not simple for the first time. That's exactly how students feel when you teach them a concept. They say like, yeah, you know what, I nailed it. And then you give them a homework problem and they're struggling because they don't know what the first step is. So what we're looking at is that we pay attention to what are their challenges as they are trying to unpack the problem and solve the problem. A real tutor sitting next to you would be paying attention to that student and saying, hey, you know what, that's step 1 or step 2, you're making a mistake. And so you can actually put a real tutor, they'll do an amazing job of watching your child. Problem is that it's very expensive because you have another human being actually sitting and watching you do the work. And it's not sustainable, it's not repeatable. On a Friday evening at 9 o'clock, a teacher is tired, student is tired. So what we are doing is that our system is doing the job of providing our teachers a digital pair of eyes, an additional digital pair of eyes. It's actually keeping track of what the student is doing at a millisecond level, 1/1000th of a second. So they can go and tell our teachers additional insights after the fact. So if your daughter worked on a problem, we are not having a teachers actually watch over her shoulder and find out what she's doing. But essentially, our teachers are able to do that after she submits the worksheet because they can play back the problems that your daughter has actually done, quickly identifying potential areas of mistakes she has done. This is no different than if you use a word processing software, you can quickly identify where you've made your grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes. Mm-hmm. You don't look at the entire document, you just look at the red and green squiggly lines. Yes. That's exactly what our teachers can quickly do to quickly identify where you're challenging, where the student is finding areas of challenge. And they can quickly understand why are they actually having their challenge by playing back what was the student trying to do and why did they come into a situation where they're making a mistake. That is insight, which is called time shift. If you look at a real teacher grading your work, you can see eraser marks. You can actually see them actually know that a student has made a mistake and they're actually going and correcting the mistake. But what was the mistake they were actually doing that led them to make that eraser event happen? Our teachers can actually identify that. And we package this entirely because we are essentially have built a student-centric universe. We want to make sure that we call this a point of learning. When the student is actually trying to solve a problem, they are stuck. It's like being stuck on the road because you're kind of like, I don't know what to do because I have to drive and there are 5 cars honking behind me and I have sweat beads coming in my forehead. So what we're doing is that, okay, you're stuck. You can't yell and scream and ask for a teacher to come in right then and there at Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. We have built-in video tutorials that actually are multiple video tutorials that actually tell you and teach you different strategies of solving the same particular problem. So we want to essentially make sure that we take away the challenge or the perspective or the view that the student has that, hey, math is hard. If I get stuck, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. We are in the business of building confidence for a student. And so that's how we do it. And there are lots of other bells and whistles we can talk about. But at the core, that's how it works. I mean, we essentially want to make sure that there are enough tools and there is enough guidance from a dedicated teacher so a student can feel confident they can actually become a math champion. That's our goal.
Okay. So when you were talking, one of the things that you mentioned is that it's not really an online tutor, but like a digital tutor. So what's the difference between an online tutor and a digital tutor? Just because people are going to want to know when they come to your site, yeah, what are they getting really?
That's right. That's a fantastic question. I'm glad you asked that question, right? Online tutoring is no different than what you and I are doing right now, sitting in front of a computer, actually synchronously being present. You could be my tutor. I could be your student. You can be teaching me math right now. That's what online tutoring does. It's a very synchronous way of doing, essentially taking what happens in a classroom and translating it to online.
Okay.
That's not what we do. What we have developed is the world's first digital platform. And when we say digital, what we're talking about is that, yes, there are online components. If you want to get into a 30-minute one-to-one private tutoring session, we do offer that. But that's like 5-10% of what we do. Because we are a digital tutoring program, we are able to look at every single keystroke and pen stroke of the student for not just one worksheet, but they could have done 100 worksheets, 1,000 worksheets. We are also not just a worksheet generation machine where we are just giving you more personalized worksheets. We have what is called as a progress matrix that is dynamically changing. So we have a matrix that is, let's say, a 10 by 10 matrix, third grade, fourth grade, whatever it is. And we have each and every tile, you have topics, and then you have concepts within those tiles. And we are able to identify and measure, and more than that, we are actually able to show it to both the student and the parent, how well that tile, which used to be red before, how is it changing to yellow? How is it changing to green? How long has it taken for the student to actually show progress? So essentially what we're doing is that we are essentially creating a digital footprint of your knowledge or your brain growth over a period of time. And we are adding in all these assets like built-in video tutorials. There is actually daily grading and feedback being provided by a dedicated teacher that is assigned to your child. It's not like a mill of teachers. It's not a musical chair of teachers. It's the same teacher day in and day out for the academic year, unless you want to have a change of teachers. And that teacher is actually paying attention to your work on a daily basis. And they're giving you feedback in your system. Here's the mistake you've made. And so essentially, this is no different than getting a personal coach for you to improve performance. You don't see Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal. I'm a big tennis fan. You don't see them getting coached by playing tennis with 300 other guys or 20 other guys, and there's one coach yelling, and hey, hit the ball. Nobody's saying that. They're saying, hold the racket this way, do this, practice this way. They are paying attention to Roger or Rafael just to make sure that they can actually become champions. Yeah. How can we expect students to become math champions unless we actually provide not tutors, but coaches? And what does a coach do that tutors are not able to do? There are lots of great companies out there that that do a great job of tutoring. The problem is that you go to a tutoring company, you're limited by the fact that you can go there maybe once, maybe twice a week because of the limitations of how it's organized. We don't have those limitations. We are actually having coaches paying attention to what your daughter is doing on a daily basis, so they can actually provide not only her feedback, but when they have the one-to-one tutoring session, once or twice a week, whichever is the choice that you make, they are teaching her based on knowledge of the previous 6 or 7 days of actually observing the mistakes your daughter has made, what are the challenges she is encountering, which direction is she repeating the mistakes. So this is a very personal experience that we provide. And we believe that that's what it takes to create champions, that you provide a coach. It's not a if, it's not a question of when, it's a question of how quickly can we make a person a champion. That's what we're focused on.
Yeah, I was talking with another mom who's currently using Thinkster, and she said one of the things she appreciated is she can go in and she can see how he's improving over time. So that's a really nice benefit. Okay, so as we know, most math programs are designed by age. So you guys have on your website, it's K to 8. Yeah. We know in homeschooling, most parents won't use grades, they'll use grades or age. So how do you figure out, like, is the program designed by age or grade, or is it designed by skill?
So we are essentially a skills-based program. We are not a grade-based program. We are not an age-based program. We have these grades and age groups as categories just to have a conversation with the parent, because that's how they think about it. That's how the outside world thinks about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We don't think about it.
No.
Somebody comes to us and says, hey, I want to get started. We just ask, hey, what grade is your child? And not because we want to pigeonhole them into that grade, but because we want to understand. Some parents come to us, we have lots of kids who are actually in Thinkster. In fact, I was actually reading a review from a parent. Their kid is in first grade doing 6th grade math in Thinkster. So we have kids who are far above grade levels. There are a few kids who are actually below grade levels as well because of, or I would actually say skill levels, because there are kids who are actually doing 5th grade math in Thinkster, but they're actually also catching up with some 3rd grade geometry and probability and things like that they should have known, but for whatever reason, they haven't picked up. So they're all over the place. So we are essentially focused on improving the ability for students to become math champions, which means that you can't become a champion if Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal become fantastic, serving machines, but they don't know how to serve in volley, they can't be champions. So we want to make sure that we provide that all-rounded, holistic view of making sure that they can actually be really good in all aspects of math, not just a few aspects of math.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, one of the questions most homeschooling parents don't like is, what grade is your kid in? Because they're doing certain subjects as different grades. So skills are really vital. Okay, so I know when you join Thinkster, your child is given an assessment. And then what happens next on that journey? Like, what does a typical lesson look like? How long does it take? And how much work is it for the parent?
Yeah.
Because I know most of my readers are very busy.
Yeah.
And so the more kind of that they can check it out, but more hands off it's important.
Absolutely. Look, we designed the program to not need parental involvement. When I say we are essentially performing the role of a coach, you expect the coach to teach tennis or math to your kid. You don't expect to be involved. You can be involved. We encourage involvement. We encourage complete transparency, but there is absolutely no need for a parent to get involved other than making sure that, hey, if you have any particular questions or if you want us to focus on particular areas because you want your son or daughter to be ready for an upcoming test or any of those things, yes, in those cases, we want to get feedback because we don't know any of the other things that are happening in a student's life. So we expect that that kind of involvement and engagement from a parent. But other than that, they don't have to be hands-on. Our teachers will actually do the personalized grading and personalized assignments on a daily basis. They will provide the feedback. They will connect with your kid. All our sessions are actually recorded because of compliance. So we have recording of student-teacher interactions because that's what the government mandates, and we actually do that. So there is absolutely no fear. All of our teachers are actually background checked. So if I am a parent who's really busy, and actually I have 3 kids, my own daughter actually does Thinkster. So there is absolutely no reason I don't actually myself even though I'm running the company, I didn't even know what my daughter was doing because she's got a teacher. They are on their own things. My wife will occasionally come up and say, hey, what's happening? I said, ask the teacher. I have no idea what's going on. So, so that's how it works. I mean, so there is absolutely no need for a parent. And the good news is that we actually provide a Parent Insights app. So they can actually get updates on their smartphone. And anytime this teacher is providing a daily grading and feedback, they can actually look at updates on their smartphone. They can log in. We make sure that parents don't have to be helicopter parents and, be with the student to know what's happening. They can be completely hands-off and still be in the know of what's actually happening.
That's a really great benefit. That's one thing I did appreciate. We had sent in the assessment and we were able to look at, where she had made mistakes. It showed where the teacher made suggestions or corrections. That was really cool. And then there was a video library that we thought was really neat because they could watch the videos. And anyways, like I mentioned, we had our first session with the teacher today, and it was really cool. So we appreciate it. So one of the questions when I was talking about this was some homeschool parents are wondering, is it Common Core aligned or not? And they also wanted to know, would this be an all-inclusive homeschool program? Like if they wanted to use this as their main math program for homeschool, would they be able to do that?
The answer is yes and yes and yes. So we are Common Core aligned. So in fact, we have content that is above and beyond Common Core as well, because what we have is, since our product is currently being used by students in over 30 plus countries, we are able to, for example, in India or UK or Australia, they would teach you what they call as commercial math, which is profit and loss. I went to this vendor, this vendor is running a business. Students in the US don't go through that in the 4th or 5th grade, but students in other countries go through that profit and loss kind of math. But there are parents in this country who basically want their kids to know these things because this is common knowledge that you want students to know. If you're running a lemonade stand, how much money are you going to make, right?
Exactly.
Right? Simple things like that, right? So, so we have not only alignment with Common Core, we also have additional content that will actually be able to amplify whatever we are able to provide. For the most part, parents want to have alignment with Common Core or other state standards. For example, Texas has its standards, California has its standards. So we can align ourselves with any other standard as well. And we are actually indeed aligned with other state standards and, in fact, other countries as well. So it's very easy for us to talk the language of the customer. And to your question about whether homeschool parents can actually view the Thinkster curriculum as a curriculum in and of itself as a primary program, absolutely yes. And if they can actually give us some references to, sometimes they may have some textbooks as references saying that this is the math that we are following. We are happy to work with them and figure out if there are any gaps, we can address those things. But I would be really surprised if there are any gaps, because we have actually identified and provided solutions for gaps from 30 plus countries. So our curriculum is extremely broad and extremely deep.
Okay, that's good to know. So we have provided, thanks to you, a free trial. When you go to the website, though, it shows, I believe, 3 different levels. So when a parent is trying to decide which level should they pick, can you tell us like what should we be looking for, or maybe tell us what level is good for which situation?
Absolutely. So if you go to our website, you'll notice that there is a worksheets only program. This is meant for parents who are hands-on, who want to be in the in control of everything that's going on, and they are like completely, they have time, they have ability, capacity, but they don't have the content. We have several parents in that mode. Then you have essentially what we call as a silver plan. That's the light plan. That's just content only. We won't do anything else other than give you content in some kind of a structured sequence. Then we have the light plan, the silver plan, which is basically you get the content, but you actually have a teacher who's dedicated to your child, who's going to do the daily grading and feedback, but they are not available for one-on-one private tutoring sessions. The third is the gold or the platinum plan. The only difference between the gold and platinum plans is the number of tutoring sessions you get in a month. Gold is basically 1 tutoring session every other week, or 2 tutoring sessions per month. Platinum is basically 4 tutoring sessions per month. That's pretty much the only difference between gold and platinum. For the most part, we have noticed that 65 to 70% of our parents who are very busy. In our case, most of the parents are very busy because they're both working or they're doing other things. So the gold plan is what they prefer because it gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the daily grading and feedback and oversight from an actual dedicated tutor. You do get 2 30-minute sessions in a month. This is one-on-one 30-minute private tutoring sessions or private sessions, during which you can also ask for any homework help. So it's not necessary or tied to just the Thinkster curriculum, but you can use these sessions as an opportunity to essentially clear any doubts that the student may be having about some schoolwork or anything else, or maybe they're writing a competitive test. So this, we feel, appears to be very appealing to a lot of parents. It appeals to me personally as a dad myself, because it takes care of a lot of things. I have somebody who's paying attention to my kids' work on a daily basis. I do have access to somebody, and it's very, very nicely priced. It's really, if you compare ourselves to the competition, there are companies out there that just do worksheets with no grading, with no tutoring, who are actually charging more than what we're charging for gold plans. So we are very competitively priced.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate companies that allow us to test, like have a free trial, because sometimes, no matter how much information is provided on the website or how much is provided in a review, you don't know until you put that program with this kid.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to connect. So it's a perfect way for parents to figure out, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? They can ask questions. One thing I noticed on the website is you have a box that I believe that, if you have any questions in the answer, especially if you're technically challenged, like some people I might know. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments of this video, and Raj or I will jump in and answer them to the best of our ability. And if I don't have it, I will make sure you get that answer. Again, you have the free trial. The link is in the description of this video. And I will be sharing our experience with Thinkster, so I hope you hang around and watch out for those. So keep an eye peeled. So thanks so much, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.